Excellent. Welcome to the Township Whitewater Region's regular council meeting for Wednesday, November 5th. It's 1:02 p.m. and we're going to call ourselves to order. First item on our agenda is the national anthem. If I can get you to stand, please, and face the flag at the back of the room. I guess I should have warned the guests we have in our audience today that in the past, when the O Canada anthem didn't work, we just got one of our guests to lead us in the singing. So, yes. So it turned out the one time we did, we had a singer in the audience, so it worked out. Anyway. Next on our agenda is the land acknowledgement. I'm going to ask Councillor Tripp, please. Okay. Councillor Tripp, please.
As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of the Township of Whitewater Region and our community. Sorry. As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of the Township Whitewater Region and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generation of Indigenous peoples who have taken care of this land for thousands of years.
Excellent, thank you. And Councillor Moore, I'll get you next council meeting, special meeting, okay? So I didn't want to put you too much on the spot. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda, and that's for today, November 5th. The recommendation is the Council of Township Whitewater Region approve the November 5th, 2025 agenda. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Tripp, seconded by Councillor Bell. Is there any proposed changes to the agenda? I see none. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. The adoption of our minutes. We have regular and closed session minutes from October 15th, 2025. And I'll recognize I wasn't present, nor was Councillor Olmsted. But the recommendation on the floor is that the Council of Township Whitewater Region approve the regular and closed session minutes, understanding that closed session minutes remain confidential. So I need a mover. Deputy Mayor, seconder. Councillor Moore, any errors or omissions that need to be brought up with respect to the minutes? I see none. All those in favor? It's carried, unanimous. Thank you. Next item, we have council committee and boards that we are appointed to. The one on our agenda is the Muskrat Watershed Council from October 16th. And I'll ask if our council rep has any comments on the attached agenda minutes.
Nothing further to add.
Excellent. Next item is disclosures. Is there any disclosure to be made by any member of council with respect to what's on the agenda today? Okay, I see none. That moves us right into presentations. We have two presentations today. The first one is going to come from South Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Board, Mr. Robb Tripp, and I think Councillor Tabbert is going to do a brief introduction, and then we'll turn the floor over to him.
It is my pleasure to introduce Robb Tripp, who is chairman of the South Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Board. Mr. Tripp has been actively involved in community safety initiatives, was appointed as chair to our South Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Board, providing leadership to ensure that policing services continue to meet the needs of our residents in a fair and effective way. Today, Chairman Tripp will be providing an overview of the 2026 South Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Board budget, highlighting key priorities, cost drivers, and the ongoing efforts to maintain strong, efficient, and community-focused policing in our municipality. Please join me in welcoming Chairman Robb Tripp.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm going to be very quick in the first couple of slides and just present a bit of an overview of the board, its mandate, our priorities, and then a quick update on the 2025 year, and then moving into 2026, the budget. So about the board, it's a community board, and its sole purpose, or one of the main purposes, is to advise the local OPP detachment on policing matters that are appropriate and that relate to the views that we're seeing from our constituents within the 7 municipalities. A key word there is to advise. We also help with determining policing objectives and priorities, and we advise the detachment commander on those priorities. Again, it's an advice. We do not have operational input or control over the policing. We're there to be that bridge, which falls to the third point. We're a link between the community and the police to ensure that our local perspectives are represented. This is a new piece of legislation, and it came about to ensure that the community had more engagement and a partnership role with the policing services that are brought into our respective jurisdictions. It's new. It's almost in its second year of implementation, and I'll talk a little bit more about some of the successes and challenges. But our key function and responsibility, these are the 4 that sit at the top of the list. And I don't want to get into the micro. It take the rest of our council time to go through that. So we really want to, hit on mine, setting the objectives. So we determine local objectives and priorities that we see as appropriate for the OPP. But we do that in consultation with the detachment commander. Very much a partnership, back to the role of providing advice, not direction. But we want to be able to talk about what we see as the key objectives and priorities that suit the needs of our residents. We advise the detachment commander on policing services and support that's needed in the area. We monitor the performance of the detachment commander, and we receive regular reports from the detachment commander on activities in our area on a monthly, or at each of our board meetings, which have been monthly, will be going to every second month in the new year. And then lastly, we participate in the selection process for detachment commander. When we talk about the participation, to participate in the selection, again, that's to make sure that there's a community lens applied to the people who are coming in these leadership roles. We've recently just gone through the interview process, and a successful applicant, Marianne McNeil, who has been around the area for quite some time, is now has been appointed into the position full-time as the detachment commander. We sat in part of that interview. She came to the table having completed all of the required OPP boxes that had to be checked in terms of those leadership responsibilities, but the board had a seat at the table to ensure that we had an opportunity to talk about community representation and get a feel that she met and matched the needs of the community, as opposed to just being done as it was in the past exclusively within the OPP. So it's a very good process. It's new. We're growing with it, but it's giving us an opportunity to have a voice at the table as priorities are being developed. The OPP will develop at the detachment level a strategic plan. It will align with the overarching strategic plan of the OPP at a provincial level. We as a board will then do an a board level strategic plan, again, that dovetails into the strategic plan of the OPP with that community lens to make sure we're hitting the markers that we see as appropriate and policies and procedures that we want to see implemented in terms of policing in our area. It's a good piece of legislation. Although its implementation has had some challenges. It's traditionally, we're used to, in the municipal world, when we sit on boards, that it falls under the Municipal Act, or it's got a touch or a tie to the municipality. This is a community board. It's independent. It has intentionally been moved outside of the municipal field. We report to the Ministry of Solicitor General, not in through the Municipal Act. So there are 7 of us that are appointed from our respective municipalities. We are appointed as councillors by the council table, but when we go into the room and we sit at the board table, we are civilian, independent board members, leaving our council hat outside. There are 2 additional community members who represent the community view other than through a municipal lens. And then there are 2 political appointees from the province that bring that political lens into the implementation of the legislation. Right now, we have 2 community members and 7 municipal councillors sitting on the table. We're still waiting to fill the 2 political appointees. And again, we as a board have that mandate to find people of interest. We have 1 from the southern part of our area that has expressed interest. We're looking for someone else in the northern, so I'll place that at the table and through Connie to give some thought. If there are people in your area that would be interested in sitting on the board, we would then initiate that action to put it through the political system to see if they could be appointed. So organizational development. We've had when the Act came into play last April, we held our first meeting. Again, a lot of issues in getting the board up and running, and it has not been a smooth transition. It's taken us some time, and we're still not out of the gate. When we started, we realized as an independent community board, we did not have the protection of the insurance provided through us via the municipalities or through the province. So boards needed to get their own insurance. There wasn't a product in Ontario at that time. So the Ministry of the Solicitor General and the association moved quickly to work with leading insurance companies in Canada, in Ontario, to create a product that we could buy. That's now in place. Up until that point, boards could not meet because of the legal liability that we'd be exposed to with no protection. Then there came the issue of the funding and the budgeting. So the board is responsible to develop a budget and to present it for discussion at the council. We did that in 2025 in our initial year, and the budget was around $116,000. I'll talk to the budget in 26 in a moment. When the budget comes forward, it's an equal distribution among all municipalities as provided for in the legislation. There is a provision that it can be weighted by population base, but that's a discussion for the municipalities. It needs to be 100% consensus in order for that to happen. In light of that, it falls to an equal distribution, which is where we were in 2025. And that's a broader discussion, a policy discussion at the municipal table to bring back to the board. But in absence of a consensus between all 7 municipalities, it does fall to a weighted. The board is responsible for the budget. There are provisions, if they want to have the budget raised, they can make an application to the Ministry of the Solicitor General for review. But most of the boards that I've been experienced with have kept a pretty lean budget, and they float between the $100,000 and $120,000. We'll have a better sense, I think, after 26 is over, what the real number will be after we get fully operational. The last part on organizational development is the funding mechanisms. As an independent board, we don't have a bank account. We're not incorporated, so a bank will not give us an account, and we can't tie into one municipal account because it skews the responsibility or the independence of the board to one municipality. So we struggled for the year in terms of how to come up with a solution. And we made a decision working with the Township of Renfrew to contract them to be basically the paymaster. And that passed through their council a few weeks ago. So there'll be a request going out for the invoicing for the 25 years shortly. It will come from the board. It will be followed up from the treasurer of Renfrew so that the funding can go easily from municipality into the account at Renfrew and then into the charter account specifically for the board. So it creates a simplified system. They then run our chart of accounts and provide to us on a monthly basis the expenditures and the balances. This year, we have not spent, there's a significant gap between what the budget was, and most councils, all councils approved the 25 budget, we just haven't invoiced yet. We will be in a significant surplus position, and our intent is to roll that surplus forward into the 2026 budget, which I'll explain in a moment. And then coming at the end of 26 into 27, we'll have a more accurate reflection on true costs. The last point on organizational development, in the budget, you'll see a position for an administrator. We, in our inability to bring in the money and to have the account, we couldn't go forward and hire somebody. This is across all boards, have had very similar situations. So it's been a challenge without having a person at the helm. 7 volunteers, it's a bit challenging to get stuff done, to be quite honest. So we're now at the spot where we can go out and hire somebody who will be our central person to put in place the bylaws that we need to structure the organizational development and get us rolling on some of the planning activities that we as a board need to undertake. So with that, I'm going to jump into the budget, and I don't think it's on the slide, but you have it in front of you here on your sheet. So it's broken down similar to what we did in 2025. The legislation provides that the board members sitting are entitled to an honorarium. That has stayed the same. It's $150 per member. We're looking at 8 meetings. Ideally, we'll hold 6, but the budget provides for 2 should we have a need for an emergency meeting. The chair has an honorarium of $400 a month. That, I suspect, will change in the 27 as we hire a community member as we hire an administrator and take some of the lifting weight off the chair. And then traditional employee costs. We are under honorarium, so that's just CPP and related. It's not full mandatory costs. Travel is in the budget. Board members have a choice whether they wish to claim mileage. Most don't because we're relatively close to the office. But if you're coming from Whitewater down to Renfrew, or if you're coming from the southern part up, there's that provision and opportunity, so it's in the budget. The chair mileage is set with the CRA posted rates. I've been chair for the last year and haven't charged mileage because there hasn't been a lot, but we will get into more as we get to budget deliberations and bouncing through the 7 municipalities. Conferences and training, we have Zone 2 meetings. Zone is like an area that we belong to. They're spread throughout the province. It's a really inexpensive way to network among our co-boards, an opportunity to share with OPP on their priorities, and a networking source. They're inexpensive. There's a little bit of mileage. They're held in rotating communities. We're looking at bringing one up into this area for next year. You'll see that in the budget a little bit later on. And then there's the AGM. 4 members. It's usually held in the London area, or it has been in the past. That fee covers the meeting associations, around $800 or $900 per member, plus associated travel. OPP attends with us, but OPP covers their own costs coming in. So traditionally, a detachment commander or acting detachment commander will attend. And then we get into the governance and operations. So you'll see the hosting for the Zone 2 meeting in 26 at 2,000. Community outreach is the role that the board will take in community outreach going forward. We've had some requests from Crime Stoppers. We'll be receiving money through grants for ride programs. There's a plethora of things that we can get involved with to support policing in the community. So that gives us the flexibility for those areas. Insurance is 5,000. Strategic plan development, we haven't done that in our first year, so that's a roll forward. But that's to get the plan up and running that aligns with that of the OBP detachment. Website design, website hosting. Right now we're ad hoc with Renfrew, but we really need to get our website up to get our OWL set up and running so that we can stream live on the meetings and have them online for public viewing. We're very big on the transparency. It's been challenging this last year without the infrastructure in place to do it. So we've kind of limped through as best we could with the services that Renfrew provided, but we do need that independence. Professional services, legal, as we start to develop our bylaws, our operational policies and procedures, and just some of the early incorporation that we're going to need to do. Audit, while we're falling under the town of Renfrew as our paymaster, we are independent and we have a responsibility to all 7 municipalities to have a review of our finances. It will not be a full audit because we're too small for that, but we will be reporting back to all 7 on the annual expenditures of funds as well as to the community. And then the financial service agreement, $4,500, that's the fee that Renfrew will charge for all of the services provided for the year. This is in our first year. They will reevaluate, and we expect that to come down in the second year when we have a better understanding. So that will handle all of the payroll for and contracting for our administrator and managing all of the funds in and out and the grants that we receive. Grants will fall under the T-PON to Renfrew and then be transferred into the police budget. And then program IT and phone, that has the OWL in it. I'm not sure how council here works, but in our council, we receive $30 a month for the use of our own personal cell phone. We would set that up with the administrator as well, so he or she would continue to use theirs. We don't think it's valuable to buy a phone specifically for a position that's going to be 2 days a week on average. Supplies, and then the administrator. $30 an hour, 20 hours a week is the norm. Lanark is doing it. A number of other councils or a number of other boards that have started that have used that as their baseline. It's a little heavy lifting at the beginning of the year, but then will eventually work itself out. And then MERCs. So it works out to a total of $120,332. We will, in the next week, have a wrap-up from the town of Renfrew on what our true expenses were for the 2025 year, and we'll know what the surplus that we'll be carrying forward is. So we'll be able to come out with the surplus number along with this budget item to give you an idea for budgeting for the next year. I'll stop with that, and apologies for the lateness of this. It has been a very challenging year, and we have only recently received support from Renfrew for the role of paymaster. They have been carrying it on their books, and we'll do the balance, and then we'll be set for a stronger theme going forward. The last thing I'll talk about outside the budget is, again, the role, because it is a lot of money for a municipality when we look at policing and we look at the cost of the OPP policing. The value for this, once it's up and running, is an opportunity for the community to have a voice at the policing table. Traditionally, communities have spent the money to OPP or whatever their policing structure is with little input at the table. We now have an opportunity to do surveys into our community through the board to capture the essence of what communities see as priorities. We can approach municipalities and get the municipal lens on what are priorities and roll that into a package that we can then present for the OPP's consideration when they start fine-tuning their key priorities and objectives. So it's a voice at the table, and it's putting the community lens back into policing through an advisory role. So I'll stop at that, and happy for questions if there's time.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Tripp. We'll open up for questions. I'll go to Councillor Tabbert first. Is there anything you want to add, or? No, you're good. So we'll go to questions. Is there anybody who has questions? Councillor Tripp.
Yes, if I may infer from your presentation that this legislation was pretty rushed through, because there's an awful lot of gaps in implementation as far as I can tell. And so, and I understand that the whole idea was created to take care of a concern that the citizenry had about input into policing. And I also understand that you're going to report regularly about and be very transparent about how you're spending the money, taxpayers' money. And I'm just wondering if we're going to see how from your reporting, how the original problem of not having input into policing from the general public, how that's improved. Like, I'd like to see that not only, I'm sure money's all going to be spent properly, I'd just like to see if there's going to be some results. Because when I'm meeting people on the street, and they know that we're going to be paying another $17,000 to $20,000 a year, I would like to be able to report to them that, yes, there is a benefit. And so and I realize this is all so new. I don't expect a report today, of course, but I'm just wondering, in the future, is that something we're going to see? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great questions, thank you. So first off to the legislation. This is a huge paradigm shift in legislation around policing. This is about an opportunity to present the community to come to the table and to have advice and to be part of the dialogue around priorities in policing in the community. So that paradigm shift is going to take some time to roll in. It's a huge piece of legislation. It's a complex piece of legislation. And nothing is perfect when it's first designed. So it may have been rushed in, but it was a long time in the writing and then came in very quickly. And there's some extraneous elements in the legislation that none of us predicted. And we spent the first year working those through. So that's the growing pain. I think the DNA of what they were doing and the intent of the legislation to create that stronger bridge between the police and the community is going to be very successful. And the legislation, I think, applauds that initiative. But it is a paradigm shift, significant shift, and it will take a little bit of time for implementing. In terms of the return on investment, and that's a very solid question. What I'm seeing now is we're receiving monthly reports from the detachment commanders on what's happening in the community as a whole within the board, but then broken down by our respective municipalities. So that will eventually start to come to you through your board representation, through Connie as the representation for this municipality and the board. So you'll have a lens in terms of where the trends are and where the shifts are. And this is very new to us now. We get a plethora of information. We need to synthesize it so it makes more sense to us as lay people in the community. But that information will start flowing on a regular basis. I think the opposite side of that is we've never had a vehicle when we see concerns other than a quick phone call to the OPP and it goes into this machinery and there's sometimes you don't think our voice is being heard. Through the structure of the board, we have an opportunity to sit down at a board table with the detachment commander and say, here are some of the concerns that are being expressed. And how do we work those concerns into the priorities and the objectives of the force? Now, they will come back. They're operational and we have no say in that, nor do we want to be involved in operational policing. But you know, in my personal experience in the first 3 months of this year in our township, we had a number of horrific fatalities with motorcycles going up one of our roads. And it turned out that they were having cams on their helmets and recording, you know, who had the top speed at this corner and who could get the top marks for going fast. This was all published online. We had an opportunity to sit down and have a discussion at the table through this board. And you know, traffic has always been an important function for OPP, but they could direct resources to that specific element. They also have an opportunity to say to us, we're devoting all of our resources into this area because this is the issue here. It may not be in our area, but if we can resolve it here, it will stop the transition of it to our area. Those chains of communications are going to be very important for us in the future. Also, we have a secondary, if not a third role, and when we get into the main OPP budgeting experience, through this board, we can come back to the constituents and talk a little bit about the value for dollar in policing in our area. Again, we've never had that window into the organization to have those conversations. That's the benefit of the community board, and that's the benefit of us being at the table. But we're independent because we don't want to be there influencing it through a political lens, because that's not the role of policing in Canada or in Ontario. We are there as community members providing a community support based on what we're hearing through our extraneous desk at the municipality. So there is a return on investment, and I think over the coming year, once we're in place and we have the staffing infrastructure, there'll be a more frequent reporting on the policing side, and then I would suggest a quarterly financial update in terms of where we are in a budget, because those are important. And we have not been good this past year because we haven't been organized and had the tools to get to that level yet. But our meetings need to be transparent, they need to be open. Certainly, this is all taxpayers' money and needs to be completely accountable and transparent, which again is why we moved to having our services at Renfrew. We don't have the skill set, nor do we want to take on that responsibility. And I think certainly my municipality is much more comfortable transferring the funds to another municipality who's holding the overall account, as opposed to an independent board with their own bank account at the Bank of Nova Scotia.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of council? Okay, I just had two. I'll make a comment on one. I recognize the relationship that you have with the City of Renfrew for the treasurer services, financial services, which I think is a great compliment as long as it's within their capacity. And I noticed the administrator is 20 hours a week. Have you considered, instead of a direct hire, have you considered an MOU for services from an administrative perspective?
We did initially, because we weren't sure on the trajectory. But what we're looking at best practices of other boards through Ontario, they have gone into a staff position with Mercs. Ideally, we're looking for somebody who is retired, because it's not a lot of money. Someone who's retired and coming out of the municipal structure who understands the role of council, because that person will be the conduit for, making sure the minutes get to the board, to the respective municipalities, that our broadcasts are published so that all municipalities have access to it, that conduit, as well as the support to the board in the development of the processes. So it does really become, through a memorandum, we question whether there's an employee-employee relationship, and I think we're better to err on the side of caution and make it a CRA-based position.
Perfect, good. Next question that I had has to do with, and I don't know, can you go back to the presentation? The second slide. One more. Yeah, so when I reviewed the functions and responsibilities that you presented, Whitewater Region's in a unique position where we are supported by two different detachments. And I see the opportunity for us to be able to set objectives, advise the commander, monitor performance on those objectives, participate in the selection. No offense to Upper Ottawa Valley, but the majority of my calls that I get about the issues that I would put in the OPP hat are all in the other detachments zone. So from when we have a scenario where we have a municipality that's on your board, but divided between the two detachments, how do you absorb that? Or is that purely our responsibility to now, basically having one rep going to two boards? How do we make sure that our municipality is represented in these four functions that you presented?
It is a unique situation to be having a foot on each board or within each board. For the South Ottawa, we still struggle with the term. And the names are changing again. The legislation, again, back to your question about some of the early thoughts around the writing of legislation, the term OPP Detachment Board is going to change in the new year to something that's a little bit easier to roll off the tongue and more reflective of the board. So, in South Ottawa Valley, we wanted to capture our jurisdiction, but we didn't want to call it Renfrew because it's more than just Renfrew. So, a bit of a tangent on the naming. In terms of the shared responsibility for the South Ottawa Valley, your representation through Connie is involved in all of these activities for that side, from our role as a board. The board in Upper, I'm assuming would have the same. Do you sit on that board as well?
I'm not allowed to,
Oh.
which I don't agree with, and I'll state that publicly, but there's nothing I can do.
Just so we don't belabor it, so it's clear, you have no function advising Inspector Neufeld. There's no relationship between your board and the other detachment that basically supports 2/3 of our community.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna we can take that offline, because I see that as a huge gap
Yes.
that we need to address. And I'm gonna ask Councillor Tabbert to hold me to that. If we can link up afterwards with the CAO, and if we have to involve you, but I'm for sure think we're gonna involve the other gentleman in the back of the room.
And-
We have to address this, and we have to figure out a way, because it's unfair to Councillor Tabbert for me to be saying, bring this up to the board, bring this, and then the poor inspector is stuck with, what do I do with these complaints in Beachburg? There's nothing to do with me. I'm gonna just pick up the phone and call somebody else to deal with it.
I think that could be a priority going forward in the next year, in 2026, because the relationship between the two right now is very good, with the exception that we stole one of their top people to become our detachment commander. But there is that very good relationship. And Mary Ann, who's our detachment commander, is from that area as well.
No.
So there's that DNA between the two. We'll find a way to get that.
And
bridge
please,
built.
I am not insinuating, or I will state clearly, there is no issue between the two detachments, and they're working
Correct.
together. It is seamless to the majority, if not all of the community. But everything you spoke to about ensuring that the resident has a voice at the table, to bring that into the discussion, we've got 2/3 of
Yes.
our community in that gap.
Correct.
That's not a OPP problem, that to me is our problem.
But the two detachments work so well together. I think it's just it's the evolution of where we're going, that voice will be heard through the two. Because the policing in our area, whether it's in Pembroke or down to Renfrew, there's a synergy between the two. And I think the support of this legislation is well entrenched within both boards. We just need to find a way to create the bridge between the two, so that the input to priorities and the advice falls to both ears.
Perfect. Good. Councillor Tabbert, that's on our list. Excellent. Okay, good. Is there any final questions for Mr. Tripp? Good. And from a treasurer perspective, you're tracking this. It's already incorporated into our 2026 budget planning? We're seeing the nod over there and the smile, so you've obviously buttered that bread. Okay. Thank you so much for coming today. I know it's a trip to come all the way up to Whitewater, but we appreciate you doing this in person and having the opportunity to kind of speak to it.
It was this or raking leaves in the rain, so
Yeah,
thank you.
okay. I see why, yeah, perfect. Excellent, well, thank you so much.
Perfect.
Have a safe trip back. Good, and we'll invite our second presentation. We have our OPP update. This one is coming from Inspector Stephen Neufeld, a detachment commander for Upper Ottawa Valley, and I think Councillor Tabbert is going to do another introduction.
Yes.
Thank you.
Stefan Neufeld is the detachment commander at the Upper Ottawa Valley OPP detachment. He has been a dedicated leader within the detachment, working closely with our communities to ensure public safety, effective policing, and strong community engagement. Today, he will be providing a high-level overview of policing activities and outlining the next steps for 2026, including key operational priorities, trends in calls for service, and initiatives aimed at enhancing community safety.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I did not bring a presentation because I wanted to, in addition to the highlights that I...
Apologies. Good afternoon, everyone. I did not bring a presentation. I do have some discussion points, but I also want to afford the opportunity, if there's anybody, for example, your questions, or there's something I want to build on that, as well as things that we've been discussing since 2017. So what's old is new, right? Wonderful. Thank you so much for the invitation to come here. I do like to speak in person as opposed to Teams, just to have that personal touch to it. I do acknowledge my time at the Upper Ottawa Valley Detachment. I'm the longest serving detachment commander in Eastern Ontario, close to the top in the province, which means absolutely nothing other than I've been in the role for 12 years now at 4 different commands. I'm I am referred to as one of the more experienced detachment commanders in Eastern Ontario, and in that capacity, it's afforded me the opportunity to, where I am, and I hate to use the term a fireman, but I am parachuted into detachments that are not doing well and struggling, and basically, whatever you're doing in Upper Ottawa Valley, do that here in this detachment. And then I'll spend 6 months in the detachment. And I'm a firm believer in the communication piece, and His Worship and I have had the opportunity to speak on many, many different issues over the years. To your point, sir, the situation that presents in the township of Whitewater is not unique in the province, but it is, it can present challenges. It can present challenges when you have two different detachments policing the same area. At the end of the day, both detachments, we have the same priority, and that's public safety. That doesn't change. What I'm going to talk about today, the priorities, the strategic priorities for 2026, that came right from the commissioner. When I was saying earlier, if it's a priority for the commissioner, believe me, it's a priority for me. It's going to be a priority for the detachment commander in Renfrew. That doesn't change. This is the direction the OPP is heading. He has set the roadmap for us. Now it is up to the detachments to follow that roadmap. And always, 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 it all comes back to public safety. That is always our number one priority. Without further ado, sir, I just wanted to know how much time I had, just because I want to leave some opportunities for some Q&A at the end. How fast do I need to go through?
We plan for 15 minutes,
Okay.
so you have time.
You give me the finger at 10 minutes. Not the finger, but just hold up a finger at 10 minutes. Strategic priority number one, everybody's favorite, traffic safety. When I say the big four, this is a focus on issues, on traffic safety issues that will take people's lives. That's impaired driving. That's failed to use seatbelt. That is speeding. That is the old cell phone. Our numbers have, since COVID, which, and I hate to use the C word, have been steadily declining year after year after year. The commissioner has recognized that. While our traffic stats are going down, we are slowly seeing our fatalities creeping up. So that can't happen. That cannot happen. He has made this abundantly clear. And he wasn't being cryptic when he said this to a room full of detachment commanders that I was present, and I keep saying Staff Sergeant McNeil. Inspector McNeil was present at the same meeting as me. Traffic is going to be our number one priority in 2026. That's not, there's no miscommunication there. You will see a heavy police presence out on 17 here, because this is a prolific spot for speeders right on 17. And I dare say probably on the main drag coming through. We also have some areas within Beachburg. Sorry, and I don't want to speak on Renfrew's behalf when I talk about issues in Cobden, but the fact is this is the hub location, right? So we also have our issues in Beachburg. We also have some issues in Westmeath. There are communities that have, and you get the same phone calls that I do. There's speeding here, there's speeding here, and it seems to be the trend sometimes in the summer months, but we have to be very strategic with our resources. We don't have an army of constables that I can put on every single street. We have to have officers in the right location for the right reason at the right time. So Connie calls and says, hey, they're speeding on my road. Okay, well, I sent an officer there at 10 o'clock, and yeah, I sat there for an hour and nothing happened. There's no problem here. Well, we need to drill into the stats a little bit. Well, the speeding's between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. That's when the cars are all ripping through town here. So we need to make sure that we have the officers placed in the right place at the right reason, or at the right place at the right time for the right reasons. We are fortunate in Upper Ottawa Valley. We've been identified as a priority detachment for staffing. This has been an issue I've been dealing with since 2017 in Upper Ottawa Valley. And the officers, we need more bodies, we need more bodies. The commissioner did a study, and it was the service delivery model, which had never been done in the OPP, where Upper Ottawa Valley has a set number of positions. We have 50 officers. Is 50 officers enough officers to do the job that we are doing with all the roles, with all the different dynamics of Upper Ottawa Valley? And this was done province-wide. It was a huge undertaking. Never been done before. And what we learned is, what was proven, I already knew this, is we are drastically understaffed. 50, which I'll just use as an imaginary number, is not nearly enough for the work that we are doing, for the call volume that we're getting. And keep in mind, the dynamics of the policing job itself have changed. And I refer to the issues of mental health. I refer to the issues of homelessness, which we get calls about constantly. Addictions. I did a walk and talk with CBC. They did an expose in Pembroke. And the quote that I get thrown in my face a lot is what I said was, there is nothing on my belt here that is going to solve addictions or homelessness. Do the police have a problem in the greater community safety of those issues? Of course we do. Is that something we're ever going to arrest our way out of or charge our way out of? Absolutely not. Bring it back on track on the traffic side of the house. The priorities when it comes to enforcing our traffic laws will be at the forefront in 2026. So please keep that in mind. I know we just changed the law when it comes to photo radar, which I don't. Are we? We're live, right? Never mind. I support whatever the government said. No, that was. I think it has its place. I do in the lens of public safety. I do think it had a place, especially when it comes to school zones. I do have a zero tolerance when it comes to speeding in school zones and community safety zones. The decision is made. And that's where it is. Any questions about the traffic side of the house? Just where there's going to be a renewed emphasis on the speeding, or on the big four, speeding of which is going to be our big one. Yeah, sir.
May I, through you, Mr. Mayor? Okay, an example today. I'm still upset about it. Where I live in the hamlet of Westmeath. And
God's country.
Today, there was an example of a 53-foot log truck going through the village school zone, speeding, and did not stop at the stop sign at Kenny Store. It wasn't a rolling stop. It was a
Full-blown, right?
Full-blown. And I'm there. What do I do? Like, he's gone. What would I do? What should a community person do when they see this? Because that was just terrible. It's 50 there, as you know, and then continue down Rapid Road, and that's 70, and it, just out of the question. Rainy.
I don't disagree, and you're one of 1,000 complaints that we get on a regular basis. So there was a time where on Highway 17, you did not speed. You kept it definitely below 110, and then we start to see that creeping up, and what becomes the accepted norm. Think of like if anybody drives the 401, 120 seems to be the accepted norm. Well, you're doing 100 over the speed limit, but that is the accepted norm. You're starting to see that creep up on Highway 17 now. I think it's always a combination of what I refer to as the 3 E's: education, enforcement, and engineering. It's not, if I got somebody to write 1,000 tickets, they're still going to be speeding on 17. There will be. So it needs to be that continuous pressure. Pressure's not the right word. That continuous education, continuous enforcement, and if there's engineering pieces that need to be looked at from the MTO side of it. That's how problems get solved, from a community response. I'll follow up with that specific complaint after the meeting.
I didn't mean to bring it up.
No, that's, again, is there anybody that is untouched by traffic complaints in their respective neighborhoods or in their communities? No, I have them on my street. And believe me, there's times where I want to go out off duty and lay tickets, but I don't, to be clear. Effective and purposeful deployment of officers to address coverage during peak periods. So we have to move beyond, and again, this is the commissioner's vision. We have to move beyond the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that's what every single officer across the province works. We need to be more structured with our officers. We need to make sure that they have And this is all tracked through data analysis when we have our peak calls for service and when we have our downtime. Do we need to have a presence at 3 o'clock in the morning? Of course we do. We have to be able to respond to public safety issues. Do we need to have 20 officers on at 3 in the morning? Probably not. Do we need to have officers at our peak periods, 3 p.m. to about 7, 8 o'clock? That is when we have our peak calls for service. Province-wide, not just in Upper Ottawa Valley and Renfrew. That is province-wide. So we need to start doing what we're referring to as a flex schedule, where we have 4 officers. We still need to have officers 6 to 6, but then we're going to have a second platoon. Instead of coming in for nights, you're going to have an afternoon. Again, what's old is new. We did this, like I've been around for 30 years doing this job. I didn't start this job 5 minutes ago. 30 years ago, we had 3 shifts, days, afternoons, nights. You had so many officers, there weren't enough cars for us. You had so many officers working. We need to get back to that, and the commissioner has provided this vision, this roadmap for us, and we will be following it. OMAP, Offender Management and Apprehension Program. Anybody heard of this? So this is a huge game changer for the province. So we had started this already in Upper Ottawa Valley, and I'm not saying I'm a visionary leader, but we had already identified that this was going to be problematic. We have individuals that live in our communities, that live in Westmeath, that have migrated from Toronto or Ottawa with serious, heavy conditions that nobody knows about. And they hide up there and they do their monkey business. And this is now a tracking system that we are tracking people out on bail. We are tracking people that are out on parole, that we're tracking people that are on conditions. There's one officer who is a, I'll call him, because it's a him, I will call him the quarterback for all this. And Mike, I'll use you as an example. Mike's got conditions where he can't be out of the house. He's released. He's got a curfew from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. He can't be out unless it's a medical emergency. He's on his way to the hospital or he's with his lawyer. Well, who's checking up on that? Well, the answer is unless I had a vested interest in Mike's business and I'm going to get this guy out of my community, they didn't get checked. The fact of the matter is they didn't get checked as often as they should. Now, let's accelerate that and make this a situation where Mike's now a gang member and he's got serious firearms issues and he's been going around shooting at people. Again, and he's from Toronto, Scarborough, and now he's moved up to Westmeath. Well, who's checking him? Do you think Toronto Police has sent us a message to say, hey, by the way, Mike moved into your community? That's probably a guy you want to keep an eye on if all of a sudden you see shootings going crazy in Whitewater. That was never happening. This is now a provincial program where it is going to be tracked province-wide, and it is this program is just in its infancy. It's just in its and the disparity, and that is why the commissioner has identified this as a priority for 2026. Again, I don't want to say I'm super awesome because I'm not, but I recognize this when they rolled this out last year, that this was going to be huge, and I assigned an officer full-time to this. There are other detachments, and this is not to disparage any other detachment commander. Some have, a sergeant doing it kind of part-time on their desk. Some people have civilians doing it. Some people have not, and that's not a slag against our civilian members, but it has to be, and it is because they've now made some rules to go with this. It has to be a police officer that is doing this, that is going to be tracking it. And let's say I'm the quarterback, and I've got a whole list of people, and it's all computer generated, and I can look through all of Renfrew County. I can see the whole county and say, okay, this guy, this girl is they're on conditions, and then the coordinator's role is to start tasking the frontline members. Going back one slide, when I talked about making sure the members are structured, like 30 years ago, you were tossed a set of keys. Hey, answer the radio, and you were a ghost all day. You basically made up your own rules. You did whatever you did. There was no structure. We're way past that now. We need to be our members because we don't have, limited, finite resources. I need Joey to be in Westmeath between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. doing traffic patrol. Then from 7 a.m. To 8 a.m. or to 9:30, I want you to be doing school patrol. You're going to be set up in that school zone, and you're going to report back to me. It's not just here, go have a good day, answer the radio. We need to be structured with the members. We need to be basically plan their day, just like a kid's outing. from this time to this time, I want you here, and this is how you're going to report back to it. From here to here, I want you here, all focused on our priorities. So our OMAP coordinator is going to task all the officers throughout the day. I want you in Westmeath checking that guy on the gun conditions. I want the night shift officer at 10:30 to go do a door knock on Mike's house, see if he's home. And he's got conditions that he has to present. He can't, oh, I didn't hear the door knock. I was watching TV. I was asleep. He has conditions. Cops come to the door, you answer, or you're in breach. And once he's in breach, now we got a warrant out for your arrest. Now you're going back to jail. Now, I don't want to get into the whole bail side of the courthouse because that's got nothing to do with me. And I know that is a whole separate conversation. It's a work in progress and everybody knows that. But our job is, again, it's all centered around public safety. We want to get these individuals that are threats in our community, let's call them what they are. They are threats in our community. Get them under our thumb, nice and tight. You got conditions, I'll be checking. 10:30, I'll be at 10:01, I'll be at your door. You're not there, you're getting arrested. That is the OMAP program. So you will see that word a lot, OMAP, O-M-A-P, Offender Management Apprehension Program. It's going to be huge. Data integrity, oh man. We do so much great work. What we're not great at is making sure we capture everything we do. That is probably the reality for a lot of organizations, certainly when it comes to the OPP, and where it's huge for municipalities comes down to the billing. It comes down to the billing. I hate to use the expression cash is king, but cash is king. And we've had these conversations before when we talk about what are we, and I've always viewed my position as what are we doing to get the best bang for your buck when it comes to the municipalities, getting what they, I mean, policing costs, they're sky high. We all know that. I'm a taxpayer, we're all taxpayers. I know that. So how are we getting the value for money? What are we getting for our police officers? So part of that is ensuring that the work we are doing is being captured accurately. We have a saying in the OPP, and it's not great, it's garbage in, garbage out. If I tell an officer, the officers record their day through their daily activity report, and it's an online form. So from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., was that the signal, the finger?
No.
Oh, okay.
But you're close.
All right. We have an officer do foot patrol downtown Cobden. Are they scoring that? Are they letting the community know? They are not, and I'm guilty of it as well. We have to make sure that our data that we are entering, that we are presenting a bill, and the example I use for our officers is if you went to Canadian Tire, loaded up a cart and went to the cashier, would you let the cashier just make up prices for the stuff in the cart? And well, of course not. Okay, well, why would you make up a bill that you're presenting to the municipality? If you did 1 hour of foot patrol, score it, 1 hour foot patrol in this municipality. Don't just, I did patrol, Highway 17. Like, let's make sure we are accurately recording what we are doing day in, day out, so that when we do, and it comes back to the sergeants and the staff sergeants, making sure that our members are accurately tracking the work that is being done. And I'll just build on that and say, when it comes to the overtime, that is going to be tightened up. I don't know what Renfrew is going to do, but I'm telling council that on the Upper Ottawa Valley side in 2026, and this is not because I have a lack of trust in the sergeants. The sergeants do a tremendous amount of work, but when it comes to overtime that we are billing the municipality, I want that out of their hands, and I want the next level of management, the staff sergeants, looking after that from here on in. That has to be, and again, not because I'm suggesting that there's fraudulent overtime claims, there are not, but making sure that is accurately being scored and tracked, as opposed, so if we call an officer in on overtime and they put it in as recall because we're short, that doesn't get billed to the municipality. If an officer stays late because he or she is working on a case, that is going to be billable overtime to the municipality. But if they mix that up and they say, oh yeah, I got recall, no, that is not accurately being scored. The municipality is not paying for this unnecessarily. And if that's not captured or tracked, again, garbage in, garbage out. So data integrity, huge going forward. Finally, development of our future leaders within the OPP. For those of you that maybe know, Staff Sergeant McNeil, Inspector McNeil was my staff sergeant for the last 5 years and has, I will say, flourished. And, you know, that mentoring piece, that training opportunities, the professional development that she allowed her, in my opinion, to be successful in that role. That is always the job of a leader, is to identify future leaders in the organization. Not only that, there's a recruiting piece that goes in there as well. I always felt that we have a whole section in the OPP dedicated to recruiting. That's all they do. And I said, well, I'm a detachment commander. That's not my job. Like, I mean, we have a whole unit of that. I got enough doing with it. No, that is dinosaur thing. We're all recruiters. I have a saying called ABR, always be recruiting. I have a whole stack of applications in here that I'm going to hand out to all of you after this meeting. I'm kidding. But any opportunity where I go to an event, a community event, a meeting stuff, I shamelessly, the military's the best. They hate me going up there. I shamelessly recruit for the OPP because I do think we are an amazing organization. I do believe in the organization, and I'm not saying that because I'm being recorded. I do believe in the organization. Our values, this is all the genesis of this, is our new commissioner. He's not even new anymore. The commissioner, and I love the direction that he's taking this organization. There's lots of police services that are really, really struggling, and just the recruiting, not even province-wide, Canada-wide into policing. I still think of it as an honorable profession. I still think of it as a calling for me. My wife is on the job at the Renfrew Detachment. My son is now with the OPP. I know everybody's saying, oh, nepotism, of course. Never an agenda I pushed at home. To be honest, my daughter was better suited for that job, for a policing job, than he was. But he is up in Sioux Lookout, and I would never, this I wouldn't do as a dad, never encourage him to join an organization that I didn't have faith in. And I do have faith in the OPP, and I do love the direction that we're going. This commissioner is on the right track 100%. For the benefit of everybody, when I talk about the succession planning, I am 99.8% sure that 2026 will be my exit strategy one way or another. And my job now is to seek out who is going to be that replacement for me. Not 100%, but pretty darn sure one way or another, 2026, that'll be 31 years and change. And that is likely I'm going to be calling it a career. So if Whitewater is hiring, just kidding. I hope I left a few minutes for questions, but I hope I didn't rush that. It's, you know, there's some great changes that are happening, but I always say that the true job of a leader, and I know we've had a great relationship over the years, and first of all, I was absent for the last 6 months. Actually a little bit more, where I was doing so the next level above inspector is superintendent, and I was doing an acting superintendent role at East Region. So I had a replacement, so I don't, if the communication piece faltered, I apologize for that. That is on me, but I've always viewed my role as a detachment commander, like the chief of police, this is the relationship, and through his worship, everybody else. But certainly, most of you would probably have my email. I do not have a problem anytime, and you'll have my personal cell number, which I won't give out because we're live, but I can give it to anybody after the fact. That is our job, that is our role. We are members of your communities. We are there to support you. When you asked a very valid question about these changes. The Police Services Act was outdated, 1991, so it was horribly outdated. The Community Safety Policing Act did come in with changes. I don't want to say it was rushed through, but because it was so new, we are all still learning, detachment commanders included, changes that have been made in this legislation. It's still new to us. We're still navigating certain areas. What doesn't change is relationships, the ability to communicate, That, I don't care what that legislation says. If there's an issue in Whitewater, as I did the other day, hey, just so you know, because what I know the mayor doesn't want is surprises. He doesn't want curveball, just like I don't want. I expect when stuff happens in overnight, I expect my sergeants or the officer in charge to send me a quick blurb, because when I get a phone call from my boss, hey, what happened with that structure fire in Beachburg? What structure fire? No, that's not an answer. All I need to say is I read the briefing, I let his worship know, hey, here's what's going on, high level, so that if he has constituents saying, oh, why are the police in Beachburg? I've spoken to the detachment commander, the police are engaged, there'll be immediate release at some point. And it's maintaining that line of communication. The legislation is what it is. The communication, those relationships, that doesn't change, doesn't matter what the legislation says. But to your point, sir, I've always prided myself on the communication piece. Regretfully, there are some detachment commanders that didn't share that same thought process. There were communities that were literally left to their own devices, that had no contact with their detachment commanders, didn't even know who he or she was. Zero engagement there, which that just doesn't compute for me. Why did you take that job if you had no interest in engaging with the community? I don't get that. That is not the case in our community, thank God. That is
Good. Well, we'll see if we have any questions here. Do we? Just before you start handing out any applications. There's one of us around the table that has been a paramedic, and he's a firefighter. I'm sure OPP has to be on his short list.
Gotta be, gotta be.
So if you're looking for your greatest chance, maybe Councillor Bell. No, I really appreciate this, and just the fact that you took the time to come and share this detail.
Yes.
Not only is it great information to have, and it enables us to be able to speak to our residents when they make those phone calls, because they do. It also builds that relationship.
Yes.
You know, it makes we hear from you. We're not going to hesitate to reach out. Councillor Tabbert is our council lead for protective services, so she gets winged with all of the council meetings and the police board meetings, and I forward her every complaint I get, so she's also tracking them as well. But good, that's my part. Is there anybody have any other questions for our detachment commander? No, I think you answered the questions. And if he's invited you to send emails.
Yes. Please share my cell number and my email address with everybody that wants it. And the phone is 24/7, but I just respectfully ask not after 10 o'clock, because that's when I go to bed. But certainly any emergencies, call. That is the job. That is the role. So thank you so much. And I appreciate the relationship that we have certainly had since 2017, and back to our CPAC days, and I am looking forward to serving the community into the next year, and then we'll see what transpires. Thank you so much for having me today.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And with that, we will call a short recess, and we'll come back in about 5 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back to the Township of Whitewater Region's regular council meeting for Wednesday, November 5th. It's 2:17. We'll call ourselves back to order from our recess. We just finished our second presentation. Two very good presentations. Policing protective services was the theme. It's all about Councillor Tabbert today. Next item on the agenda is the mayor's address. And I just have, this is my real first council meeting because our budget meeting that we had was a committee meeting. So it's my first time coming back with a mayor's address. I only have a couple of points because it has been only a short week or so that I've actually been doing anything since my surgery. So first off, I wanted to thank the deputy mayor for running the show and keeping everything on track while I was gone. It was actually very nice. I knew that I didn't have to worry, and she was handling everything, so thank you so much. Some other things that I'll share with members of council and the public, and in no particular order. The first one is we had a ribbon cutting at Green's Auto Service, a new auto service center that has been opened up in our industrial park off of Cemetery Road. And that's Winnie and Keith. So great to see another new business opening up in Whitewater Region. So congratulations to Winnie and Keith. Local Government Week occurred 19th to the 25th of October. And I don't know if folks had a chance to see some of the social media campaign that had talked about Local Government Week, but we just want to recognize and celebrate the work that our public servants, and they are public servants, do day in, day out, whether it's in planning or public works or community services or treasury, clerking, right? There are lots of functions, and that Local Government Week offers an opportunity for us not just to celebrate these essential services, raise awareness, and make people aware that, you know, this kind of public servant job is an excellent opportunity for a career. And if you or other members of the community are interested in more information, I'm sure the CAO can make connections with his many different networks to offer people looking for a different career to seek out public service. Speaking of that public service, there's 3 committees that have been created at county. And I've just realized I didn't write the 3 of them down. So the 3 committees, if anybody's got Facebook up, you can quickly look. They're looking for up to 2 members of the community, 2 members of the county, public members, to join these committees. The first one, and the one that has caught my attention, is transportation, which will include a transportation network considerations for rural. So you take a look at the example that Pembroke has implemented with their pilot for their Ottawa River Transit. This transportation committee would look at that pilot and whether or not there's ways that we could extend something like that service throughout the county. So this committee would examine things like that and provide feedback to county council as to what might be some considerations. So if you know of any members in the community that might be interested in that type of transportation, specifically transit, and I'm thinking of the seniors working group, so I'm looking at Councillors Tripp and Councillor Moore. If you think there's someone out there that has that kind of advocacy bone, that's a great opportunity for them to volunteer for. And the other 2 committees, did you?
I didn't find it, but there is accessibility.
Yes, accessibility,
Yeah.
and the other must be climate,
Yes.
environment. Yeah, so 2 other areas, but I think we have them shared on the social media. If not, we'll make sure they are. But if you are aware of people in the community that might be interested in it, it's unfortunately not council positions, but they're public positions. So people in the community that might be interested in sharing their experience and their opinion. Taste of the Valley we'll talk about. If you haven't tracked it yet, we've set a new record. We are at 6,000 visitors in one day in Cobden for the Taste of the Valley. Incredible achievement. We are the envy of all of the other locations. people are asking me how I do it, and I just keep saying, it's Debbie. So I don't know whatever Debbie's doing, she's doing it right. We're setting new records. She signed herself up for next year. Maybe not herself, but the CAO has put her name. She's going to do it again next year. We know that we can't host 6,000 people in this community without a whole bunch of effort that takes place. I know Debbie is the face of that. She's coordinating council participation, probably other members of staff that are participating. We want to make sure we recognize Debbie and her contribution. Plus all of the other community members who are tolerating the parking and the delays to get onto the highway. We thank you for that, but it's a great opportunity to kind of showcase our community, and I believe we continue to try to do this Taste of the Valley. So thanks again to Debbie and her team. Next one is the OVTA, so the Ottawa Valley Tourist Association. They hosted their annual conference in Whitewater this year. We were selected to host it. It took place on Monday. Stephanie joined me at the River Barn, so it was hosted out there. And I wanted to kind of echo the opening remarks I shared with the conference, was that Whitewater is serious about tourism. We have our manufacturing with Magellan with over 400 jobs. We have our huge ag industry, it's almost $40 million of GDP a year. But tourism is there. And when you think about the tens of thousands of people that visit Wilderness Tours and Owl and our new resort, Summerhill Resort, with their seasonal cottages. We've got Splash Valley out here just outside of Cobden, 20,000 visitors last season. We've got 10,000 participate at the Beachburg Fair. We've got 6,000 at the Cobden Fair. We've got 6,000 at the Taste of the Valley. We've got that Wendigo bike race hosted here in the wintertime with fat bikes, bringing people from across North America. We've got Whitewater O'Brien wines. The list goes on. Tourism is important to us. We support it. And that message was, I think, relayed pretty loud and clear at the conference. So it's good. That was one event that we did. The last point I will share is just more for the public. We have initiated our Budget 2026 process. We've created a committee that has the opportunity to go through the budget in detail with the treasurer to come up with recommendations that we could bring forward formally to council. That budget committee started its deliberations on October 21st. And you'll see subsequent timelines occur in the last half of November with the aim of being approved by council before we take the break at Christmas. I'm getting a nod from the CAO?
Yeah, January 2.
Yeah. So very shortly there around that time period. So if there are community members, if there's people with input, that information is publicly available. We welcome that input, whether it flows in through individual council members, they call the staff directly, or they want to submit something to the clerk. That is all welcomed, and we will consider any feedback we get from the public, including during the public meeting. Good, and that concludes my mayor's address. Is there anything, I know the deputy mayor, you kind of had the reins there for part of it. Is there anything you want to add since the last council meeting, or that you want to share?
No, I think it's pretty well been covered. I think everything's good.
Awesome.
Yep.
And any questions from any other members of council? Excellent. Seeing none, we're going to keep moving then. Public comments. Our CAO acting as our clerk today. Is there any public comments?
We've received none. No
Excellent.
requests.
We'll jump right into our reports. The first report on our agenda is a tender for sand screening. The recommendation is the Council of Township Whitewater Region approve the award of tender 2025-22 sand screening to McCrae Excavating Limited at a cost of $39,177.60, inclusive of non-refundable HST. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Trim, and this is going to Manager Public Works.
My apologies. Still getting used to moving. Yes, thank you. So staff tendered screen sanding tender 2025-2022, which was released on October 16th and closed on October 29th and was opened following the closing. The tender specified 10,000 tons of sand that is used for winter operations. The last time that it was done was in 2022, and we've used it for the last 3 years. Currently, all both domes are all completed are completed for this year, and this sand would be for future years. The township has received 5 bids, with 2 bids that were identical. My first time this has happened in my 17 years of experience. Staff did reach out to legal to have their opinion. Through our procurement policy, it does state when 2 identical bids are received, local preference can be applied to it. And with the financial implications, all same with the gravel, all the sand is put in inventory, and then when it's hauled out of the sand pit to the sand domes, that's when the actual expense happens in the current year. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Moore, any questions or comments as the mover?
No, just it's something we have to do periodically, and this is one of them years, and we need winter sand. We can't do without it, so I'm in favor of this contract. Thank you.
Good. Councillor Trim, seconder. No comments. Any other questions by members of council? Okay, seeing none, we'll simply call for the vote. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Good. Next, point 9.2 is the Emergency Management Preparedness Grant, the generator purchase. The recommendations of the Council of Township Whitewater Region approve quotations 35868 and 35884 from Yemen Electric in principle for the purchase of 2 standby generators of cost of $39,344.86, inclusive of non-refundable HST, through Canoe Procurement Contract 092222 GNR. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Tabbert and Councillor Bell. Going to Public Works.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's a report from the clerk. The clerk applied for funding under the Community Emergency Preparedness Grant in October 2023, and the township was notified in March of this year that we were successful in obtaining $48,000 in grant funding for a generator. Originally the township requested grant money for a mobile generator that can be used to move around to the emergency shelters when there's a power outage. Typically we used in flooding, such as in events such as flooding or power outage. Currently, most facilities, which is the exception of our water and wastewater plants, and currently this building, don't have emergency backup power. Going through the actual quotations and funding, staff did go through Canoe Procurement and did receive 2 bids from their suppliers, which was from Generac and Caterpillar. That the mobile generator quotation was higher than the grant funding. Staff then, when I decided that to purchase 2 standby generators for 2 facilities. So staff are proposing to put a generator at the Westmeath Arena, which would power the hall portion of the actual the Westmeath Arena. Then also a generator for the landfill, which would power the landfill operations, but also which primarily power the fire department's communication. That's the primary tower that's used for them. So staff are proposing to purchase 2 generators versus 1 mobile generator. And with the estimated funds, so the Westmeath generator and automatic transfer switch is $29,000, 409 received from quotation, and the landfill generator and automatic transfer switch is $9,255. And install costs are anywhere between $13,000 and $15,000. With the combined project cost is estimated between $51,000 and $54,000. With the majority of the project will be funded from the grant funding. Then any remaining funds will be funded through the working fund reserve. To note, staff did have the landfill generator in the 2026 budget, which if this is approved by council today, that would be removed off the next year's budget. The one advantage of going standby versus mobile, that if there was a power outage, typically if we need it, we would need, typically when the big power outage that we need a generator, that's more than just one location in the township. And then there'd be some time for staff time to actually move the generator, hooking it up, and manually transfer it, whereas these generators will automatically transfer automatically. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll go to Councillor Tappert as mover first.
My only concern is, it says the final implementation, excuse me, is subject to approval from the province. We don't have any guarantee that this will happen then?
It is, so this, so the clerk has reached out to the funding agency to determine, because originally it was applied for mobile, if we can get approval for 2 standbys instead.
So it's going to go through, even though she says we have to wait for approval from the province?
That's correct. So if the province does decide that they won't approve the generator, staff will have come back to council and with a different plan. But if it's approved, staff will proceed with the 2 standby generators.
Okay, thank you.
Good, and Councillor Bell? Any other members? Councillor Trim?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, a comment and a question, if I may. First of all, I really do think that this option of a standby generators as opposed to portable is a good option. That was always my preference, but and it's going to happen. My 2 questions: number 1, pending approval, when do you hope to have installation? And it doesn't say in the report how the generator at Westmeath will be fueled. Is it propane? Is it diesel? The one at the landfill site is propane, but what's the one at the Westmeath Arena, please?
So the Westmeath Arena will be diesel powered. And it's been timeline. It's been anywhere from, I think it's 4 to 6 weeks is the delivery time for the gen set.
Perfect. Any other questions? I was going down the similar vein as Councillor Trim with the fuel type for Westmeath. I just want confirmation. We would be delivering the diesel, like the refill on a multi-day power outage. Would that be, sorry, back it up. I noticed it's a generator switch, so it's going to switch on and run as soon as the power goes out?
That's correct.
Even though the building may not be in use. So the consumption of that fuel, if it's greater than a X number of days or hours, will need to be refueled. Is that going to be arranged through private contractor, or is that an internal resource?
Through, so the actual diesel tank is incorporated into the actual generator, and it'd be filled by our current fuel supplier that we have for the same fuel supplier as our fuel tanks that we have for our fleet. That would be on our list. Same would be for that. And we do have other generators in the township that are diesel generators, and they're filled up, monitored and filled up by our supplier.
Excellent. Good. No other questions? We'll call for the vote then. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the site plan control approval for 1638 Greenwood Road, Summit Services. So the recommendation before us is that the Council of Township Whitewater Region approve entering into a site plan agreement with Summit Services Incorporated for the development of 1638 Greenwood Road. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Trim, seconded by Councillor Bell. And Mackenzie, planner, please go ahead.
Through your worship, the report is for a site plan control approval for 1638 Greenwood Road as stated. The proposal itself is to allow for the construction of a one-story building consisting of an industrial workshop and an accessory office space, as well as 6 storage units on the property. They've supported site plan drawings, lot grading drawings, and the appropriate studies to support the development. We've been back and forth with them quite a bit with some comments, and they've revised to address all our comments to this point. The property itself is designated rural within the county official plan. The rural designation promotes and permits commercial and industrial uses with suitable rural lands being identified under the following criteria. A new institutional, commercial, industrial uses or major expansions of existing ones shall occur by zoning bylaw amendment. All these areas are considered site plan control areas, and C, industrial uses shall be governed by the relevant general development policies of the plan. The site has undergone a site-specific rezoning to a general industrial exception 11 zone. The site-specific nature of the zoning is to allow for a mini storage establishment as well alongside the contractor shop and office accessory use permitted in the general industrial zone. There also is a minimum front yard setback of 22 meters for the mini storage establishment. Site plan for criteria B, site plan control, that's why we're undergoing this process, and C similarly would be addressed via site plan agreement. Based off the promotion of the provincial planning statement, the official plan, and the zoning bylaw, all of 3 are in support of the use being proposed here, so we are recommending that we go ahead and enter into a site plan agreement at this time.
Excellent, thank you so much. And I'm going to go to my mover first, Councillor Trim.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Good, and seconder, Councillor Bell, nothing? Any other member of council? Just looking at the 6 storage units, and I know council's already at I think it was a variance, a zoning amendment. Those are like large storage units? Is that what we had been expecting, that size? I can't remember.
So they're like, there's multiple storage units in each, like this sort of exterior, not indoors, exterior sort of garage door type thing?
Yeah.
That's-
So it's a unit consisting of a whole bunch of subunits? Correct. Excellent, good. And I noticed that there was a report on servicing and stormwater management. That specifically addressed the pond required for fire suppression?
Yes, so they have a stormwater pond. They've made it large enough to cover fire suppression, so there's no need for a fire tank in this case, and they've proposed appropriate septic and well facilities.
Excellent, good. No other questions from council? Done, we will call for the vote. All those in favor? And unanimous, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the sale of land for an unopened road allowance at the lot addition of Red Ash Trail. Recommendation is that the Council of Township Whitewater Region declare the property legally described as road allowance between concession North Front D and concession 1, Collenge Lake Front PIN 571990403, surplus to the township's needs, and authorize its sale to Kirby McBride for the purposes of lot addition, and 2, enact a bylaw for the purposes of stopping up and close the road allowance pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001 C25. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Trim, and the seconder is Councillor Moore, and this is going to go to CAO.
Yeah, thanks so much. So what we have before council is sort of the formal reporting with respect to the sale of unopened road allowance to Mr. McBride. He's the owner of 62 Red Ash Trail, and he sought out a request to purchase a portion of the unopened road allowance adjacent to his residential property. The township staff met with council on this matter, and direction was given to the CAO to negotiate the sale of the lands which are deemed not marketable based on our sale and disposition of surplus land policy. Not marketable meaning they're not large enough to support development, one, and they're not located in a location that would support sort of development of an individual home. So for that reason, they're sort of deemed not marketable. We've engaged with Mr. McBride with respect to the value of land, which is set at $3,500, which is consistent with other land sales that we've made in the past for this size of property. Together with that, we are proportionally sharing the cost of the surveying. So there's another portion of this unopened road allowance that is being sought by one of the neighbors. So proportionally, we'll distribute that cost to the individual landowners of the surveying. And the township will be responsible for our own legal services. So there'll be some minor costs with respect to legal. So ultimately, the revenue generated from the sale of land will be probably in the range of about $3,000 or $2,500 for that piece of property. So staff are supportive of this. We've conducted the steps necessary as part of our policy. There's no interest internally for this strip of land, and we're prepared to move forward with the sale. I will apologize that the sketch that you see here, the survey provided and attached to the report, is not the proper one. However, it does show the portion of land for sale. So you see my cursor on the screen in front of you. Lot 22 is Mr. McBride's. You see Red Ash Trail comes down here. He's at the end of the cul-de-sac, lot 22. What he is purchasing is this portion of unopened road allowance that abuts his property. So it's this portion here. We actually have a survey that shows that as a part on the plan. However, it was not attached to this report, but that's ultimately the portion of land being purchased. We're currently engaging with the neighbor, which is the owner of part one here, to purchase this small portion of land as well, who will pay the other proportional share of that survey. So we're prepared to seek council's approval for the transfer of that portion of land. Thanks so much.
Good, and just for those members of the public who might not have the background on this, that road allowance that the CAO has highlighted is actually along a shoreline, and a part of it's underwater. So led to part of the reasons why we consider that a surplus. It would never be able to be used for that purpose, given the situation and the physical location. Good. Given Councillor Trim, you were the mover. Any comments or questions?
Yes, further to what you just reported, Mr. Mayor, we do have a policy, I believe, that we don't sell road allowances leading to water. This is definitely an exception because it's underwater. It would never be, there'd never be an instance where this could be used for the benefit of the general public. So I certainly am in support of this exception to that policy also. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And Councillor Moore, you're the seconder?
Nothing further, thank you.
Good. Any other questions from members of council? Good. How will we just update the agenda package to reflect the correct attachment?
Yeah, sure. We'll update the sketch and we'll just reissue on our website. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So noted from a council perspective that the records will have an updated attachment. Good. And with that, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item is a celebration, 25th anniversary planning. So the recommendation is the Council of the Township Whitewater Region approve the action plan and initiatives for the Whitewater Region 25th anniversary occurring in 2026. Mover, please. Deputy Mayor, seconder, Councillor Tabbert. CAO, is that you?
Yes, thanks. Good. So what we have before council is a report with respect to the, some initiatives that are being proposed for the 25th anniversary, so the 25th anniversary planning. So staff, so through the Office of the CAO, we engage with our management team together with our leadership team on different initiatives that we could put together through next year. As well as in preparation to that. And then through myself, I've engaged with the deputy mayor on these items, and there'll be continued engagement with the deputy mayor together with the staff teams. Again, this is not, I mean, at the discretion of council, we could add stuff, we could take stuff out. It's just what we have put together as a consideration for the 25th anniversary planning. And we're welcome to any input or comments that you may have. So the township was officially incorporated in 2001 through the amalgamations of our former municipalities, Beachburg, Westmeath, Ross, and Cobden. So that marked a milestone at the beginning of a unified governance structure aimed at enhancing service delivery, community development, and regional identity. And over the past 25 years, we've evolved into a vibrant and resilient community. The 25th anniversary provides an opportunity to celebrate the township's achievements, engage with our residents, and showcase the township's unique character. So under analysis, I've identified 5 initiatives that are being proposed. The first one is logo design submission, so a mechanism by which we can engage with our residents. With school being underway, we could also engage with our schools and the students within our schools to try to inspire some ideas for a proposed logo. We'd ultimately hire a graphic designer, share with them the submissions we've received, and they would come back to staff and sort of together with the deputy mayor with a few options, and we would ultimately decide on a logo for the 25th anniversary. Secondly, expressions of interest from local organizations. So rather than us trying to host numerous events, the thought was we would invite expressions of interest from our current existing programs, so fairs, activities, and events, and fund them an amount of money in order for them to showcase the township's 25th anniversary. So we would put out a call of interest. So we have our rec grants that they apply for. We have our tourism and events grants as well. So this would be in addition to those granting opportunities. So this would be designed to support new financial grant program that will provide funding to select organizations as a condition of eligibility. I did have to reference the 25th anniversary in their promotional materials, so it's a way of contributing to our current programming and events, but also recognizing the 25th anniversary. Thirdly, community videos. So we had already embarked on the first of the major video projects. In 2025, we had some gaps in staffing. I mean, we filled those to some degree, but we recognized that there was some additional operating money that we had. So we have commissioned the first bullet here, Seasons of Discovery, it's titled here, but a 3-part tourism video series capturing summer, fall, and winter activities, sort of led through our manager of community services, Stephanie Plubin. So together with a company, Rockwell Productions, they are in the process. They've prepared two videos. They're sort of in draft. We have them, we're reviewing them, but they're going to prepare a third video that ultimately will be published as part of our 25th anniversary next year. So that was the first part of that project, but the second part is a 20 years forward, so sort of a legacy film featuring interviews with prominent community members, which I will need some help in identifying with the members of council, and showcasing the township's development. So these would be like individual interviews. They'd be sort of short form, but they'd be asking relevant questions over the 25 years of our community. So that would be the second part of it. Fourth, the staffing showcase. So what we see throughout the year, and local government week, which the mayor has noted, is one opportunity to highlight local government and our different departments. But throughout the year, there's different events. There's Parks and Recreation Month in June, Public Works Day, or week rather, May 17th to the 23rd. So as these, we develop a sort of a calendar through the year to showcase when there's certain, to highlight and showcase the staffing and different departments. So it's an opportunity to educate residents on municipal operations while also just emphasizing that we exist and who we are. So I think it's really important. And then fifth, sort of an open house or touch a truck event. So one of the initiatives would be to open up all of our facilities to the residents, whether it's on a one day or multiple open houses throughout the year, so that we could spread them out to celebrate the 25th anniversary. So this event would allow residents, from families and children and adults to come and visit our facilities where we'd have some sort of engaging interactive experiences. So something that is on our short list of ideas. As it pertains to the budget, so the 2026 operating budget, which was presented to council on October 21st, it did include a $10,000 allocation to support the expressions of interest for local organizations, so that granting agency, so that's already been included in those percentage increases to the levy. The seasonal community videos series was funded in our 2025 budget, so it's already underway and it's funded in this year's budget. And then costs for the legacy video together with the logo design would take part in the 2026 operating budget. So there are some savings with some staffing gaps in the early part of 2026, which we'll utilize to support this initiative. So we don't anticipate any significant more cost to that, other than if we're putting on other events that might be similar to these. So looking for some feedback and just concurrence with the 5 initiatives. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you, CAO. I'll go to the Deputy Mayor's mover first.
Well, thank you very much. And yes, we're looking very forward to this event. It's going to be a very exciting year coming up, that's for sure. I do just want to add one thing, that the chairperson for the 2001 was my dad. And who is still with us. So it's a great opportunity to I think, look back over 25 years, and there was still many councillors out there over those 2001 year that are still not active, but still coming. So I did just want to put that little tidbit in there. So it's kind of an exciting time for everybody. So looking forward to that celebration for sure. Thank you.
Awesome. Seconder, Councillor Tabbert, any comments or questions? Any other members of council? Good, so you all recognized in their ask the Deputy Mayor if she would take the lead on this as the lead member of council. So if you have input, or you're wondering, you have things that you want to be considered or questions, please don't hesitate to ping them off the Deputy Mayor and she'll represent your interest with the staff. Good, with that we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next item is 9.6, which is the procedural delegation, the procedural/delegation of authority bylaw and procurement policy amendments. So the recommendation is the Council of Township Whitewater Region. 1, approve the proposed amendments to the procurement policy. 2, approve the proposed amendments to the delegation of authority policy. And 3, approve the proposed amendments to the procedural bylaw as outlined in this report. I'll look for a mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor, and any seconder, Councillor Bell, is that you? Yeah, okay, good. Good, is this coming back to CAO?
Yes, definitely. I could present the matter at hand, yes.
But Manager Plevin is sitting over there just looking for.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay, all right.
So what we have before council is a report that summarizes some of the modifications that are being proposed as part of the procurement, delegation of authority, and procedural bylaws. The report speaks to what each of these policies represent. So the delegation of authority policy provides a framework to assign certain powers and duties to council and staff. So this is a policy that has existed for some time, and we've made some minor tweaks to it since this term of council, but ultimately the proposal now is to make certain amendments in order to delegate further authorities to staff. Some of them are in relation to budgets that have been approved, so spending for budget items that have been approved, some minor zoning amendments for the planning, basically to conform with recent changes to legislation at the provincial level. The procurement policy is specific with respect to the procurement of goods and services by the municipality. So this policy hasn't been updated. I believe the last version is from 2019. So the changes aim to promote fairness, transparency, and integrity in dealings with vendors and suppliers, and just trying to we essentially modified some of the spending limits to better reflect today's purchasing, but also delegated authorities for staff in the procurement. So What you'll notice in the attached policies is we've highlighted the specific changes. So if you reference the specific policies, you'll note these specific changes. And then the procedural bylaw is the one that essentially governs the conduct of council and together with the meetings. So we've made some edits with respect to that to address some of the challenges we faced. One, not challenge, but one modification relates to presentations versus delegations from the public. So today we had sort of two presentations from agencies that provide support to the township, whereas delegations are generally from the public or organizations that are seeking to speak to the members of council. So just some minor amendments with respect to that. So I will end the introduction of the matter at hand with that. The amendments are highlighted in the policies, and I know that we've tabled the matter a couple times now because of lack of presence of members of council, but in any case, I move it back to you, Mayor, for any questions or comments on the policies.
Perfect, thank you, CAO. I know there's a whole bunch of work that went into this, and it's an accumulation of a whole bunch of staff experience, and wanting to make sure that we had a chance to update this. So there is a lot of detail here, and I know, Deputy Mayor, when you were chairing council meetings in October, there was a desire to want to push this forward till we had a number of council members. We have 6 today, so unless there is someone who feels they want to push it forward beyond this, we can proceed. Yeah, Councillor Tavern?
Yes, I would like to ask that it be tabled again because, as you said, Deputy Mayor Regier asked that it be amended or tabled until all members are present. We've had 2 other meetings where there has been only 6 members and we couldn't discuss it. I didn't bring my paperwork with me because I knew Councillor Olmsted was absent. So, you know, maybe that's unfair to me because I'm not prepared, but I do have notes on my papers at home. So I didn't know it was going to be discussed for sure because, like I said, it was tabled because there was a member absent from previous meetings. Thank you.
Perfect, so we have a motion on the floor, which I am looking at the clerk, acting clerk here. I have to, that motion has to be dealt with at this time. So I need a seconder, if there's a seconder that wishes, so seconded by Councillor Moore. And I have to ask the acting clerk, is this a debatable motion?
I believe it is not, but
It should be in our procedural bylaw.
It should be in our procedural bylaw.
Okay, 2 seconds, I'm gonna just double check. He's gonna do a word search before I can get to it, I bet. Extend, move, commit, lay on the table, postpone, debatable. It is debatable. Yeah, is that okay? Perfect, yeah. Yeah. Good. So is there any questions or comments to what has been put on the, moved and seconded? Yes.
I would also like to remind council that it was Councillor Chris Olmsted who was involved in that motion to not speak on this until there were, until all members were present.
Yeah, please.
Clerk Carmen Miller, she said we didn't have to debate this or pass this at any time soon. So I don't see what the rush is for today.
Perfect, good. Any other comments, questions? Good. Yes, Councillor Tripp.
Just for my general information, are we saying that this motion shall not be entertained, discussed in any way until we have all members present? Just so I'm clear, because that seems to be an aberration. That's not a normal thing for motions. So I just want to be clear that this is a special motion in that sense, and so I know. Thank you.
No, that is a perfect question that you'll be able to ask. No, we're not setting up a new policy. We're not amending the procedural bylaw to add a type of motion. We are simply postponing it. That's what so it is postponed to a certain time to defer, and it would be deferred to the next council meeting.
If I could just, if that answered Councillor Trimm's question, that's great. I would suggest that we postpone to the December 3rd meeting, recognizing that there'll be a member that we know today that won't be present at the next council meeting.
Okay, so again, this is the discussion piece before we vote, so this is an important part of the discussion. My fear is someone might get sick on December 2nd and miss the 3rd. So I would just, comes back to Councillor Trimm's perspective, is that yes, we can postpone this until December 3rd as suggested by the CAO, with the understanding that we would be taking a look at this agenda item as is, regardless of the number of people in attendance, unless someone in one of the members' council put another motion on the floor to postpone it. Yes, Councillor.
May I ask then that Councillor Olmsted be specifically advised that it will be discussed at the meeting since he's not here today, and then everybody will know that on December the 3rd, this debate or this discussion will occur.
Yeah, we can put it on our list. We're meeting with him next week. Good. So I just want to come back. We've made a couple of informal changes here. So you're okay with the explanation? So I just want to, we are amending your motion, mover and seconder, to indicate December 3rd is the date that it is postponed till. I'm getting the nod from the mover. And I'm getting the nod from the seconder. Okay, I'll come back to Councillor Trimm.
Yes, I'm just thinking that all of us get an agenda package, and we know what's going to be discussed at the meeting. And if we can't be there for many different reasons, I've missed meetings myself, we can put forward the points that we'd like to make, the questions we'd like to have answered. We can make sure that that gets to the meeting and that it is presented to council on our behalf. So I don't know what the big issue is. It's important, but we discuss many important issues without every councillor present. But that's just my comment. I'm happy to wait till whenever. I understand that it isn't urgent business, but it just seems a different way of doing business, and I'm just questioning that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I understand, and the perspective we're looking at it is a motion on the floor, seconded, to make a postponement. The reasons, you're speaking specific to the reasons, but the motion is to postpone. Yeah.
The first time it was postponed was because Councillor Trimm was away, and we felt that we should all have a say in it. The second time was you had surgery, so you weren't here. And now Councillor Chris Olmsted is away, so it's only fair if we discuss this at a previous council meeting that we would wait till all members are present, then I think we should stand by that. And I'm only asking mainly because Councillor Olmsted isn't here, and because I didn't bring my paperwork with me. But, you know, it's, that's where I stand.
Perfectly reasonable request. Yes, Councillor Moore.
Just one comment or a question, I guess, and this goes to the treasurer. We'll be, that'll be budget night. Will we have time to discuss both items on our agenda?
Treasurer, any comment?
So that meeting was originally scheduled to be like a review meeting, but we're going to be sending out a new schedule for the budget pieces because even tonight was supposed to be originally was proposed as being the public meeting. Since that's been postponed, most likely what will happen is on the December 3rd meeting, which is a day meeting, the public meeting may happen on the end of that day. So there's still leaves for a lot of time in the fact that the regular meeting can still occur as regular. And then potential other meetings would be after that, but I don't see any issues with it.
Great, thank you.
Any final questions before I call for a vote on the postponement motion? Okay, I'll just yes. CAO, you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, I would just, to supplement Councillor Trimm's comments with respect to providing input, if there's any input or proposed changes, if we could communicate them with the Office of the CAO so that we could look at the questions or comments that may arise so that we could prepare ourselves for the December 3rd meeting. Because if there's significant changes to the policies, then we're going to be into January for final approval. But in any case, if you could approach us with any concerns or comments, that would be great in advance of the December 3rd meeting. That would be great. Thanks.
Assuming the postponement motion goes. Okay, and with that, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in support of postponement? Unanimous. Excellent democratic work, folks. Good. So another thing to carry forward. Good. Back to the CAO's comment. It is now postponed till December 3rd. Unless someone decides to postpone it, the intent is we speak to it. Everybody has fair warning. That is 30 days to get their comments in. If they can't be here, they can get their comments in before. And unless there's a postponement motion at the time, we won't be planning for it. Fair? Okay, next item on the agenda is number 10. Number 10 is our notices of motion. Is there any member of council that wishes to put a notice of motion on the floor? I see none. Perfect. Next item is correspondence. There are no items for requiring direction. There are 4 information items. And I believe we only want to speak to item D, but I'll take any questions or comments from members of council on A, B, or C. Good, I see none. So then we'll go to D, and I believe the treasurer or the CAO was going to provide just a brief overview of the impact that this letter has on the Township of Whitewater region. So over to you, treasurer.
Thank you. So with this change, originally when the original act came into with the development charges, the township put forward a development charges study and then enacted a bylaw in order to charge development charges on all residential development and commercial development within the township. Different fees for a residential building, a square footage fee for a commercial, and then a water and wastewater charge. Originally in the way the bylaw is written, and the act is written, you could defer those collection of those development charges to either at the initial permit phase or after the actual permit is completed. So by the way that they've now changed this through this Bill 17, they've sped up the construction side. So they have changed to make it easier for the occupancy permit to be issued. They wanted that the development charge has to be collected by the time the occupancy permit is issued. So it makes it so that that amount of money is not due at the time, but then is due by the occupancy. So in order to actually get occupancy, you have to pay the development charge. So it just kind of cleans up that piece. And there are no really bigger changes to this other than just a timing-wise of that and the actual calculation of interest on those deferred amounts. But the township has never done a deferral of amounts, so that part does not have an effect on the township at this point. Any questions?
So Trim.
Yes, I'm not understanding part of this. I understand, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the treasurer, this only applies to non-rental residential. What happens to the other buildings, the commercial, the rental, industrial? Are they deferred according to what it was? Or what happened? I'm missing that part.
Treasurer, please.
That's correct. There was no change to those pieces. They would still be the same way as they were previously per the bylaw. And since the township never has gone through a deferred method, and we always collected the fee directly at the very start, there's really no change to the system that's currently in place, other than the ability now for us to defer them should we want to, but that would have to be brought back to council in order to amend that bylaw to state how we would defer the development charges themselves. The original bylaw stated in it that there was no deferral at the point in time. It stated in the bylaw as to when that fee was actually collected, which is at the permit phase, and rather than at the occupancy permit phase. They're just deferring this amount so that the contractor has the ability to get the permit, do all the construction, And then in order to finish the project, in order to get occupancy, which normally what happens is the building is complete, they would have been paid by that point in time, they can then pay the development charge. It's more or less just to help the builders out without that bigger impact cost at the very start of the construction process. But again, our development charges is not, it's not small by any means, but it's not large either, and originally when council went through the whole process, it was easier to have it administration-wise, to have it all at the very beginning. So it's the set fee and everybody knows exactly what the cost of the actual permit is with the development charge included. And then the occupancy permit, there's no dollar value attached to that. It's just a clerical process that we give to the owners once the property is completed.
Good. Any other questions for the treasurer? Good. So I just want to make sure that it's almost like a professional development opportunity here for council, but if council would like to propose an amendment to that DC policy, for example, they wanted to have the development charges postponed until occupation permit, that would simply be a notice of motion by one of the members of council for us to review that. Is that correct, Treasurer? CAO?
I'd have to defer this one to the CAO, but I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I think that in order for us to initiate a review of the current development charges bylaw, that would be a notice of motion, yes.
Okay, so just an example. A letter like this initiates this kind of change. If that triggers something within your mind or when you're speaking to a developer, that would be the opportunity by which you could examine alternatives to what our existing policy is. Good? Okay, thank you, Treasurer, for that. Good question, Councillor Tripp. Next, we're on to announcements, and I'll start with the Deputy Mayor.
No, I have nothing at this time, thank you. I was just going to touch on the Taste of the Valley, but I just want to say that it was well attended. It was great, and thoroughly enjoyed the day, and the amount of people that showed, you're absolutely right, that was incredible. So, and yeah, it was very well done. And I do have to say hats off again to Debbie and Councillor Moore and myself. Sorry, the day's getting long. Councillor Moore and myself, we did stay at the booth there for the day, and it was a great opportunity to sit there and talk to the people and see the people, and had all of our many other, who were they that we had there?
Historical Society and the seniors.
Yes, so they were there as well, and very well attended, and happy to have them there as well. So, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Bell, anything?
Nothing for me.
Good. Councillor Tabbert?
Nothing.
What? I rely on you. I build my schedule around your announcements. Holy crap. Okay. Councillor Moore?
I got a dentist appointment in 2 weeks. Nothing at this time, thank you.
Councillor Tripp?
Just one more little bit on the Taste of the Valley. Not only did break a record for attendance, but we had even one more vendor this year than last. So that was, again, I don't know how much more we can accommodate, but it was a great day. The weather couldn't have been better, and so that helped too. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. I have two. The first one is Queen's Park visit. So I just wanted to share with council and the public an update. We have been confirmed with County Council to Whitewater will be participating with the Queen's Park Advocacy Day that they have on November 20th, with our specific topic being the former Teminko mine site and the industrial park, which is, you have all seen those briefing notes. So the plan right now is November 20th, the CAO and I would represent and help county advocate on our behalf. And that was passed by a county resolution where they agreed to advocate it as a county issue, not just a single municipality's issue, due to the significant impact it would have on the region. So I just want to make sure you're aware, CEO and I will be out of the office, probably the 19th, 20th. The second one, and I don't know if the CEO wants to speak to it, he wants me to, but Roma delegations, you want me to speak to that? Yeah, okay. The Roma, of course, is third week of January. There are an opportunity for municipalities to submit delegation requests. Those delegation requests are due November 18th. So that's prior to our next council meeting. If there is a specific issue that a member of council would like to ensure is on consideration for advocacy, please send that to myself or the CAO, and we will then confirm our list for the 18th, and it'll be back briefed to council once we have that confirmed list. Good. That's all I have for announcements. No last minutes. Yeah, Councillor Moore.
When you go to Toronto, will we be able to watch you on TV or YouTube or something? Will that be broadcast or not? Won't be?
No, it won't be. But
Okay.
we will provide some kind of summary upon return, so everybody will have
Okay, thank
an
you.
understanding of either how successful or how unsuccessful we were. Okay. Good. Number 13 is bylaws. And you'll notice on this, just because the bylaw list includes a number of bylaws that may, I believe there's one here that wasn't discussed tonight because was part of a previous discussion. So I just want to make sure that you and the public are aware that there are 4 bylaws listed here, plus the confirmatory bylaw. So the recommendation is be it resolved that the bylaws listed on the November 5th, 2025 agenda be taken as read and passed. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Trim. Is there any final questions or comments on any of the 4 bylaws listed on paragraph 13? I see none. I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous, carried. Clerk, I'll just confirm there is no closed session. No closed session. Therefore, we are adjourned at 3:20 p.m. Trying to keep up with the Deputy Mayor. Perfect.